Welcome back, kings and queens, to another market open. If you're watching the replay, thank you for joining. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for being with me. If you're new, thank you. Thank you. First thing we're going to do is check out the charts. We have 30 seconds until the market opens. I think I'm live. Am I live? Let's see, this is... Okay, let me just double check. We got 18 seconds until the market opens. And we are going to first start with checking our stock charts, what the stock market's doing, and then we'll get into crypto, and then we got much more to go on also. Okay, we're looking good. We look like we are live. There we go. There's the morning bell. All right. And let's look at what the market is doing right now. So... now, things are looking green. When I was looking this morning, I mean, well, I won't say everything, but things are looking much better than they were before. So we got, it's already up 0.5. Okay. All right, not sure what's going on with the heat map right now, but we are already at 0.5 positive when it comes to the Dow. We got a little bit of a turnaround for space. Let's look at our other charts. So UEC is down a little bit from the other day. We're at 414, which still isn't bad. That still is over $4. AT&T, I don't have any more again, but we're at 1836. And now Verizon I have bought in at 45.10 and we're at 44.93. So oh, well, I mean, that's not all of it. I also have some Workhorse at, I believe, 450, and then SBUX. So SBUX is looking good. We are getting some of our strength back. Let's maximize this, see what's what. All right, and move you over. There you go. Okay, so SBUX is starting to show strength again. MACD hit its cross right at the open. RSI is pointing upward also. Volume's a little low, but that's okay. All right. QQQ is 322, so let's look at that. Now, I don't have any of this, but I know a lot of people use this as an indicator, and I do like to use what other people use as indicators because let's think about it. We're trading in a market where there's a bunch of other people trading. We want to look at what they're looking at too, because if a lot of this is moving off of sentiment, or if we're making any decision off of market sentiment, and we're not looking at what everyone else is looking at, we are kind of just shooting in the dark. So the dip that just happened recently, went down to 269, and then after the Fed, which is about here, I believe, we're still showing strength from there. It's still, I mean, we're not even close to crossing RSI. Everything is looking strong. So, I mean, right now the market is actually looking pretty strong. I'm a little surprised. I was expecting a bit of a pullback. I got $1.91 liquid in this account, and my account overall is at 183. So, I mean, that's up like $5 in just the past week. Where else? Okay, yep. T-Mobile 145. That's showing strength too. Oh yeah, let's see what my positions are. So Workhorse, I'm positive, and UEC, I mean, I know I'm positive with UEC. We'll zoom in on UEC just a little bit. I hope I'm talking loud enough in this right now. I did order a microphone, but when I got it in, it didn't work with my computer, so I hope I'm screaming good enough. Okay, so UEC, we're at 413 right now. The order that I had in, not even worried about putting another one in, it was at $4. We're looking pretty strong. Actually, I think I had it at $3.94. We're still far away from that next support line that we have. Looks like we could potentially cross it. This is what I would be looking at right now if I were to be wanting to trade in this. It's just that MACD to cross again and RSI to continue going up if I wanted to sell into strength, but depending on your strategy, you know. All right, let's see, what else do we have to talk about today? Crypto. Let's look at the crypto real quick. So now okay, I was looking at the wrong number there. Bitcoin showing strength. It's at $24,000 right now. It was at about 22, it was at 23 roughly last week, depending on the day that you were in here or chiming in with me. But everything is starting to show some, again, shouldn't say everything, but the market is starting to show some type of strength. So, okay, cool. Whoa, that's better on my eyes. All right, so Ethereum is at 1797. You know, I'm not used to that. Let's go here. Let me know what you think is better. Binance is holding over there 320, which we hit last week. XRP, I mean, even that's going up a little bit. Not by much. It was only at like 36 cents, so we're only up a couple of cents. Cardano holding over 50 cents. We got Polkadot is up like $1 or something since I last saw it. Avalanche is up at 29. That was at 23 not too long ago. So we're seeing a lot of green. I mean, even just looking at this side right here, last 7 days, we're seeing a lot of green. Chronos, so Chainlink at $8, Chronos at 15. So we're showing strength here. And I will get into a little bit of news on this too. Oh, you know what? I did forget to open up a couple of the other indicators I like to look at. So we'll check the whale stats. And what else will we check? Oh, I forgot. I need to be like some other level. Okay, yeah, we'll check the whale stats. So now these are going to be the top 100, I believe, tokens / coins on the ETH chain. So it looks like right now the sentiment is more neutral than it was before. It was at fear the last time that we were on here. Same most traded or most held are up here. So that's good. That at least means that we're not seeing any huge transition into different coins or into a different coin. Okay, so SHIB is still the top one that's held in dollar amount, followed by USD. Now I'm not too sure what BEST is. Let's look at BEST real quick. So now I like looking at those charts because if we, and now obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum standard, Bitpanda ecosystem. I wonder which one it is. I think it's safe to say it's this one. Let's see, what's the volume been? Volume bin's pretty high. Social, yeah, it's been talked about good amount since January. Okay, so it could be this one right here, which was Bitpanda ecosystem. Now, full disclosure, this is the first time I'm looking it up, so don't go off of any of this. Do your own research. Oh, it says right there, Bitpanda ecosystem. So yeah, Bitpanda ecosystem looks like it's the third largest held. But nothing else looks like it's moving too in and out. Now we will talk a little bit about AMP later on. FTX is still up there. Link is still up there. Oh, if you see me doing this, because my back is like all, cramped up and whatnot. Matic, CRO. So CRO was, some people are a little iffy on it because they spent a lot of marketing dollars last year, but they're not really doing stuff on chain. I mean, they are, but it's not as big as some of the other ecosystems out there. But we'll get into that stuff as we go. Let's get on to what's going on right now. Actually, let's check into the charts real quick before we do that. Okay, so now this is a thing. I like checking the charts right in the beginning, and then I like doing it 5 minutes-ish later too, because first 5 minutes I've noticed is when the most volatility is happening typically. So we got that out of the way. Now UEC is in the upward direction. Let's get a little closer at Verizon. All right, so Verizon showed a little bit of weakness. Yep, it hit its cross in the pre-hours or pre-market. Now, if I were to be trading this, as far as buying into it, I would be waiting to see the MACD right here, this yellow line to cross with the blue line, and for the RSI to still be pointing upward, and hopefully with some more volume there. You can see the volume's pretty low, but this isn't really a stock to trade. This is one more to hold. The biggest reason that I got it, again, is because if you look at this chart down here, which is why you saw it expanded earlier, in the last week, we've had almost a $10 drop. And there's nothing that Verizon has done wrong, really. I mean, besides the normal, news that comes out when people just get a little bit fearful just because there's news out. But there's nothing really going on. I think the biggest thing is that people are saying that Verizon is a dog or something because it's lagging behind. But it's not. I mean, it's still got one of the most subscribers or whatever you want to call it. It's still there with the 5G. Still has some of the strongest service. So, yeah. And let's look at Workhorse real quick. Now, I have to draw lines into Workhorse. That's an interesting pattern. That could be doing a little bit of a cup. We'll see if that drops. We'll check in back with that later on. All right. So I'm going to try to go through all this as quickly as I possibly can. I'm not going to necessarily cover everything that you see up here. And I'm also obviously not going to say it word for word. But we'll get started with the news and see what is going on. So now, the Inflation Reduction Act could be the most impactful climate legislation of our lifetimes. And now I get most of my stuff from Yahoo, and then I branch out from there, Yahoo Finance. So what I read in this is basically they're trying to give aid or subsidize or whatever you want to call it. They're trying to help people or companies create clean energy. So this bill would curve what the current policy is, which would be reducing the greenhouse emissions from 24 to 35% down to 31 to 44%. Now there is some overlap in there, and these are just estimates. You can see right down here what they're actually using to get these numbers off of. But anything to lower greenhouse emissions is going to be good. What we really want to be looking when we're seeing this, though, is what does this mean as far as what sectors or what industries are going to be affected by it. So looking down in here, they just go into the numbers, and they also talk about how in this bill we'll be bringing battery, solar, and offshore wind back to domestic manufacturing. So it'll help with employment also, hopefully. Now, employment numbers are a little interesting right now because it seems like there's a lot of job openings, but there's more job openings than there are people right now, which usually is I guess bad thing. But it usually means that, let me rephrase that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's usually saying that people have the opportunity to go out there and get jobs. However, the reports that we get are saying that people are being laid off, fired, and let go, not hired, things like that. Like there are ceasefires right now at companies. So it is what it is. Powell does back this, by the way. He says that this is a good thing. I'm not going to, again, go into all of this, but electric vehicle owners might also get a tax credit if this goes through. There's still some work to be done for it to go through, but it does seem like it could help lower the cost of energy over the long term and make it cleaner at the same time. But, we'll see. And honestly, the definition of clean energy is a little bit muffled, if you ask me. Hopefully that gets figured out over time too. So Buffett's Berkshire pounces on market slump to buy equities. More or less what this is saying is that he's not buying as much of his own company as he usually is. He did buy a decent amount in some insurance company. If you want to read it, go ahead. I mean, that's the title. This is where I get it from. And also, even though they sold a lot of shares, it's not necessarily, he's not showing that he's necessarily bearish. It's just showing that he's changing up what he's doing, basically. And it doesn't sound like he's looking to buy back into things that he let go of, but more so he's still just buying heavily into other companies in the market. Now, when they were saying heavily, it was kind of funny because they were talking about millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, but right now, or at the end of June, they're sitting on $105.4 billion in cash, whereas the end of the first quarter it was $106 billion. So even though they're doing all this buying, it's not like they're light on cash. They still have plenty of money to be able to do anything. But it does sound like he isn't buying back his shares right now, whereas they're still buying into other companies. Oh, it also does talk about how Geico did experience a little bit of bad earnings, I guess you could say, or loss, or it didn't look as good as other insurance companies. And they think that this is more so because used car prices and everything have made the premiums go up, so it just looks different on paper, and that this is something that's happened across the board. But it looks like on paper, Geico was affected more than most other companies. But I don't think it's anything too much to worry about. I don't really track Geico when it comes to the trading or even just investing in general. But as far as the company, it's not like it's going anywhere. So if you have money in Geico, obviously do your own research. But this is something that you might want to read a little bit. I forgot to read this article. Darn it. But we'll just headline read it. Copper worth nearly $500 million goes missing in China. I read the first couple of paragraphs. Basically, whoever or whatever company was keeping an eye on how much copper concentrate there was, which obviously needs to be refined a little bit more. Their tracking was a little off, and it looks like they have a third of what they're supposed to. So yeah, it might be something good to read if you're into commodities. I am. So at least that headline is giving me something to pin in my mind for a second. I'm going to check on the charts real quick, see if anything is going crazy. Workhorse, it wasn't necessarily a cup and handle, but it did break out a little bit there. So we're at 473 right now, which is about a 25-cent per share profit. I could sell, but why? It's only a little bit. We got a little more positivity in Verizon. All right, cool. So we're still looking good there. All right, let's get back over to the news. Don't want to lose track. Okay, so banking titan Citi says Ethereum merge could boost crypto exchange Coinbase. Stock price report. All right. So they're basically trying. Now I don't know if I really believe what Citi is saying. They're a regular bank like most other banks are. So take everything with a grain of salt. Again, this is not financial advice to your own research. But someone from Citi who is an analyst is doing a little bit of analyzing. They had coin or the stock that's traded for Coinbase on their chart or on their 90-day or watch list for upside catalyst for 90 days. So they say good developments are brewing. I already sign up to them. So at the time that they're writing this, it was down 74%, which it was from the $200 and some odd dollars. It was trading at $93. But they're saying that okay. So this is about the misleading about what the SEC is trying to go at them for right now. So what they're trying to say is that they held some commodities that were securities on their exchange, but they were also saying that some of what they were holding would also mean that the customer, so anyone who's using Coinbase, is subject to a bankruptcy. So basically, Voyager just claimed bankruptcy, and now they're being more or less bought out or told to liquidate completely. Being told to liquidate completely. People are getting a little bit nervous, and some people notice that Coinbase is not liable, but they're set up to have us affected the same way. So this is a good thing, even though it may sound a little bad, someone's coming at Coinbase. It's still a good thing because this means that regulation needs to happen. Because now they have to kind of define, well, what does it mean when someone goes in bankruptcy? How is it going to get paid out? All this other stuff when it comes to digital assets now, which this goes into also. So it's kind of more just the same thing, but this is going more into specifics of what they're going for, getting attacked for when it comes to their assets. So right now, the SEC, Gary Gensler, is claiming that Coinbase has 9 assets or 9 tokens that are considered securities. You can see which ones they are right here. And before, when they were getting attacked saying that they had securities on their exchange, Coinbase just pulled down, I think it was XRP, or they stopped their interest rates, their high interest yields. They stopped those to appease the SEC, I guess you could say. And Binance pulled off AMP from their exchange. They delisted it off of their exchange, saying it was an abundance of caution. And they say it's trolling its rival Coinbase, because Coinbase, if they do that right now, then it's almost like they're admitting that it is a security. But this time, Coinbase is doubling down and saying that they do not list securities. So Paul Grewal, who is a chief legal officer, he wrote a blog saying Coinbase does not list securities, end of story. And now, of course, Gensler isn't just going to say, oh, end of story, never mind. But they are, as far as Coinbase, are going on the offense now, saying that they do not list securities. They're defending themselves and trying to push for regulation. Where that says it says it some. Okay, here it is. So now this is the CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried Fried, I think everyone says Fried. This is what he says to it, or to in an interview. What I would most like to see would be regulatory frameworks, registration forms, frameworks coming out of both platforms and assets. And I'm optimistic that over the next year we will see some of the multiple agencies, he said. See some from the multiple agencies, he said. That doesn't mean you can't make decisions in the meantime. That doesn't put you in a position where it is impossible to judge what anything is. And it is very intentional that we have listed fewer tokens on FTX US, and many platforms have. So now I am dyslexic, so that's why I do hesitate or kind of pause through these things, but we're getting through it. Mainly what he's saying is that FTX is very cautious putting things on the US exchange because they aren't really sure what the regulations are. So rather than them getting accused and then attacked from the SEC, they're like, let's not on things that are maybe considered securities. Now, Coinbase is saying they do the same thing, that they have a very stringent process. FTX and Binance are just kind of saying that theirs is more strict. So we'll see how this goes, but overall this is good for the crypto market because this does mean that regulation has to come. And now that brings us to Voyager. When regulation doesn't come and people are going crazy with where they invest their money, Voyager put their money at 3 Arrows Capital, which was then claimed bankruptcy. And this article does say how they are now told they are to liquidate fully, and that's talking about 3 Arrows Capital. Voyager was given the okay to start distributing funds back to their people. So if you are someone who holds anything in Voyager, you have tokens in Voyager, this is good news for you. Withdrawals can start. The process for withdrawals can start on August 11th. It sounds like what they're basically saying is you can, on August 11th, within 24 hours of August 11th, you can start the process of saying, hey, I want to start pulling my money out, $100,000 in any 24-hour period. And there is going to be a little bit of manual checks that has to be done. Because they want to make sure that they're not giving any money to frauds or anything like that. They want to make sure that all their money is going to the people who actually have crypto sitting in their account. So withdrawals will be allowed after August 11th or as of August 11th on Voyager. So check this out. Definitely read this article. Not going to get into everything here, but this does also state how 3 Arrows Capital is now told to liquidate pretty much 100%. I wanted to start getting into this. This is something that I'm going to be looking into, is different events that are going on, not only in my area, but around the U.S. That way maybe I can start party hopping, basically. And by party, I just mean the event. I don't really do parties. But if you're looking to get into any events, this is the next one up that Coinbase has listed, October 18th, I.D.E.A.S 2022, CoinDesk. So yeah, check it out, New York. There you go. All right, let's look back at our charts. How am I doing on time? We're looking good right now. Awesome sauce. So, all right. I also just want to say real quick, nothing here is financial advice. This is for entertainment and education purposes only. Please talk to a professional before you make any decisions. I am just someone who has won and lost and won a little bit more in my journey in general. I don't even know what you would call this journey, but I'm a very entrepreneurial person who likes investing and such. So all this stuff that you see me right now is just because of experience over the years. And even now I'm still cautious, even though I'm pretty risky. But anyway, back to the charts. Let's look at space real quick. All right. Any news that just came out? Nope, no news. It looks like people are just chart trading right now. But this is a good sign. We can see the curve starting to come up on the MACD. The RSI is starting to point over, and this is what's good. Even though you can see some downward trend right here in the ATR, I like having this up. I don't necessarily use this with the pairings that other people do, but when I see the ATR going down like this and the MACD hits its cross and all that stuff, you can probably see something is going to turn downward. But then right after that happened, you could see it shot back up. And when I saw that, even though we were still pretty low and we were still turned down on the RSI and the MACD, to me that meant I don't really have to sell anything, because even though I took this little bit of a loss over that couple of days, sentiment overall in the long term is still very positive. And it looks like it changed pretty quickly when people were like, oh, I'm afraid, but then they're like, nah, I got this. So we're good there. back at 710. Most recent news is that they're doing some share buybacks of I think like $300 million worth. UEC back at 417, so it's under the 420 range again. There's that little bit of cross that we were talking about. And then, as I was mentioning before, if you wanted to catch this on the way up and you didn't want to catch it too soon, you wait for a cross in the MACD, volume a little bit higher. Looks like it might be showing. Actually, I'm not even going to say what it looks like it's showing right now. It's too early. We're also on a 1 minute. Let's look at the 5 minute. Yeah, it could be doing a downward channel. It could be doing a couple of things. I mean, it's still only the first half, 20 minutes. So, and honestly, it's going to start, from my opinion and what my experience, it's going to start slowing down a little bit too. You'll see more volatility in the stocks that people are like trading strictly 4-day trades, which I don't really do my research on those stocks just because it's, you're spending a couple of hours just to see what people are trading tomorrow and that's it. I like to swing trade too, so I like to look at what I'm going to be able to hold for the next week or so. But things are still looking more positive. We're showing strength as compared to the last couple of weeks where I was saying, I mean, you can look at my videos from the last couple of weeks, I was very uncertain. But I think sentiment overall is showing positivity. Now, a lot of people are still warning to keep cash on the side as a just in case things turn around, because you never know. And I do agree. So what I'm doing in the meantime is I'm not funding these accounts anymore. I'm funding more anything that's going to be long term or just putting cash on the side. And with these trades that I'm doing, I have more intention of the sell date. So Verizon, I'm only planning on holding for this week. So if I don't really make a profit by Wednesday or Friday in Verizon, then I'm going to sell it by this week, and then I'll be able to be back in cash. I think it's very important to know what your exit strategy is also. All right, so we'll get a little bit into the stocks that I'm currently holding. If you're holding these along with me, this might be good to listen to, but again, not financial advice. And I'm going to breeze through these as quickly as I possibly can. So Starbucks pays a US 49-cent dividend in just 3 days. So we're coming up on the ex-dividend date in just 3 days, which means it's the date that they actually take their screenshot, or they look at who has a share. So if you have a share by the next 3 days, you'll get the 49-cent dividend. Now, the rest of this article is basically talking about how strong their dividend is. So let me see. Where does it start? It talks about, so earnings, their earnings versus how much they're paying out. Now, what they paid out more than 55% of their earnings last year, which seems to be par for other people who pay out dividends. They use 73% of their free cash flow, which again they said is pretty normal in paying out dividends. Now has it been growing is one thing that they were saying, and they were saying that in the last 14 years it has been growing 14% a year, past 5 years. So it has been growing a little bit, and then as far as just summing it up, they basically say yes, it has been growing. They are going to be doing the payout. They have consistently paid out. They're within their ranges, but they're at the upper end of the ranges of where they're not really growing at a crazy rate, and they're getting tight with their finances, I guess you could say. And it looks like the growth rate is coming down a little bit. So they're basically saying, so what I am inferring from this is if you do have Starbucks, if you look to just make payments or get your money in dividends, Starbucks would be one of the ones I'd look at or keep my eye on for any news that would indicate they're not going to be paying out again. And then, they have their 3 green flags for Starbucks. They're basically, again, just talking about the positives. So Starbucks is becoming a worldwide brand, so they are reaching out more. Japan, they're going to be is the 3rd largest market. I think they're opening up new ones somewhere. I just heard recently too, but anyway, they're very worldwide. If you go anywhere, you can buy Starbucks. If you go most places, you can buy Starbucks. They love its investors. They pay back their dividend, as I was mentioning before. They've been doing it for quite a while. And as far as the digital game, they're very on the forefront. Their app is very user-friendly. I wonder what else they're talking about here. Casual, online. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's talking about their online ordering system. It's pretty great. China knife cuts both ways. Okay, so yeah, it's basically our relations with China are rocky right now. Everything with China is rocky right now because of what's going on. I mean, from Pelosi being in Taiwan to people accusing or having accused the COVID-19 on them, and then all this other stuff. Just that's all they're saying at that point. Now, I'm not going to read all of these. I wanted to at least just brush over the articles that I saw for this because there is a lot going on. So they were talking a while back when I was first, I think before I actually started getting or got sick in January. UEX, they were starting to acquire them. UEC was. Looks like that agreement is getting finalized or reworked. An amendment is added to it. Then this just says that they confirmed the intentions to acquire UEX, so this is just confirming what we were already getting in the news before. And then they are technically a penny stock, and they say that they're at a massive discount right now. Now, when I was trading UEC before, it was at like the $6, initially I was trading it at the $3 range, but I even traded it up into the $6 range. So when we back out on it, it was at $6.60 just in April. So I mean, that's a pretty significant drop from where it was. And I mean, if I'm pulling back and just looking at this overall, this could be a W-type chart. Now, it's a little elongated for that. I think it would be nicer to say that that looks like a reverse head and shoulders right there. I think that's even a little bit off to say that too. But either way, we're seeing it. I believe it is at a discount also. So UEC is something that is considered a penny stock. Could be pretty discounted. Something good to watch. Let's see what else is going on here. By the way, this is just Monday. I do go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 Central Standard Time. So make sure you check in. And I do have other videos on my channel to help with personal finance and investing, and I'll be having much more to come. Also, let's look at space. We're up 1 penny since we last looked at space. All right. Drop in the comments below. Let me know what you're looking at right now as far as different investments for more swing trading or long-term trading. I want to broaden my search to see what else that is out there that I could possibly put money into too. And this platform that I'm using right here is Webull, and I also use Thinkorswim. So if you want to use Webull, there's a link in the description below. There's also one for Coinbase. If you don't use Coinbase, I thought I had one more, a little bit more news. Okay, yeah. So I haven't read too much of the history on Workhorse. I was in it before, and then I traded it. I mean, I did sell for a profit, but not when it was up in like the $15 or $20 range, whatever it was. But I did just read. Oh, excuse me. I did just read recently that they delivered their first, or they got their first deliveries under the new green power deal. Which I think is just like a deal with a company out there for their batteries. But yeah, I'm not going to read through all that. Obviously, I can't anyway. And then this I wanted to at least pop up. Oh, yeah, okay. This I wanted to at least pop up showing that, or when I mentioned before that Verizon's on the front line and connects its first responders to nationwide. Wildfires nationwide. Did I just back out on that by accident? Okay, there we go. So, now different wireless companies will offer different advantages to their, frontline workers. So Verizon's still doing things like that. And this is just something I wanted to pull up to show that Verizon isn't there like lagging behind or anything when it comes to what they're doing with their network and with their services. They're still doing the same offers that other people are doing. He generates $133 billion in 2021, New York City. So they're not lagging behind like some of these people are talking about. I don't believe that at all. So that's pretty much what I got to say when it comes to the news. Let's check in with the crypto stuff real quick one more time, see what the overall charts are looking like. I should say. Ethereum crested $1,800. All right, so we're still showing green in a lot of this. So this is, I mean, look at the video like a few days ago, maybe even a week ago, and you'll see that almost all this over here was red. So overall, I'm much more positive when it comes to the market. I think before, if you were to have asked me last week, I would have probably said that I'm not very optimistic when it comes to what the market is doing, but I'm much more optimistic that we're in a more positive trend going forward. So if you're new to personal finance, I think right now is the best time to get educated. We're still at very low lows in some of these companies as we were seeing before, even in broader markets as we're seeing. So if you have money sitting on the side, I would definitely say now is a good time to talk to a financial advisor. Get with a group of friends who are already investing, see what they're getting into. But again, talk to a professional. So get a tax professional, financial professional, and a lawyer. Make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row so that you're protecting, making your money, and growing your money as you're supposed to. But everything, in my eyes, we're coming out of what could have been a very bad time. And now if we do go into a recession, this is again, or deeper into a recession, or maybe it's not transitory as they're saying. This is why I say it's good to make sure you have some cash on the side. And like I said, I'm still getting more cash on the side as I'm building my more long-term accounts. Because if I have some cash on the side, then that means I have opportunity to put over here. But if I leave myself high and dry and we do go into a recession, number one, we don't know what's going to be happening with the investments. And number two, when things do go lower, we don't have the opportunity to buy in at a deal. So that's my opinion overall on what's going on. If that sounds interesting to you, again, check out what videos I have. I did make one recently about managing your risk and how to determine your risk. So I'll put a link to that up here. Overall, just stay safe as you're investing, and we're gonna